So you want to know, are home prices going to continue to rise all the way through 2024? And what exactly should I be doing if I'm thinking about buying, selling, or investing today? Well, I'll cover all that on this week's National Housing Market Weekly Update. So stick around because a lot is going on. And each week we're continuing to see what is changing from the correction. Well, thanks for sticking around. And that's right. The correction, the stabilization, all those phases, both nationally and locally, have ran their course. When you look at really what happened this time last year in June, both locally and nationally with the housing market, and different segments are correcting in different periods. However, there's two things we are identifying is most of the forecasts have been off, and every single month they are changing those to be more bullish going into 2024. And then the other part is that we talked about this like shadow inventory in the past. There's a lot of people thinking about selling leading into the pandemic and the couple years post, to now there's really this shadow buyer inventory, meaning when changes in rates happening, there's a ton of people that are just sitting on the sidelines ready to buy. They're just waiting for the right home and maybe a change to affordability. So let's pull up what exactly is happening in the market. And as you look at the 436,000 single family homes on the market right now, that's up 0.7% from last week and up 16% from last year. But this is the big indicator. We started the beginning of this year with 73% more inventory than we did this time last year. And you can see that light pink line at the bottom and that red line, they're starting to merge. And so as you start to see the change in the overall inventory, that is really an indication of the overall demand based on the lack of inventory that is available. So as we continue to carry on, you'll see that most likely by this time next year, our inventory will be less than where we were at this time last year across the nation going into July. Now, the other part, though, remember, is the overall indicator of total homes that are active to the homes that are under contract. So you can see 402,000 single family homes went under contract. That's 14% fewer than last year, but you can see that dark red line is starting to catch up to the actual active listings that is on the market. And when you start to see a shrinking inventory year over year, like we just saw in the prior slide, that is actually a prediction or an indicator that the future 12 months will see home price appreciation. Its inventory declines compared to a prior year are the number one indicator to what will happen with overall home prices. So 2024 is starting to look quite bullish. Now, remember, as we were also taking into account, though, the pending sales per week, this was the one we were talking about last week, which is we saw a dip the holiday week, all right, and interest rates went over 7%. The new pendings, meaning the contracts, fell by 5% to 63,000. So when they drop 5% over a week, we would want to look at how does that compare to the prior year? And you can see it's almost identical to the rate of decline. It's just that as we're looking at the year over year numbers, we know that we saw more homes go under contract last year at the beginning of the year. So what's going to be interesting here is each week we'll follow this. And as these pending homes go under contract and the available inventory does not improve, we could see again the pending sales start to be improved or increased over prior year. Or perhaps if this number continues to decline, then we could see at the end of the year, as you can see, that pending sales per week start to decline after the spring and summer selling season, is that would be potentially a sign for demand lacking in the market. However, most people are not predicting and or forecasting that we would see that. So this is a big one. We'll continue to follow this graph each week. And as you look at the median price of homes in contract, though, fell 1.5% to where it was last year. We already know this based on where the numbers were year over year accelerating at the beginning of last year all the way until June. But then we saw that correction in June of last year. We stabilized at the beginning of this year or the beginning of the spring for the nation. Locally here in Colorado was back in January. And so now we're just running its course again to a stabilized market, and we'll continue to follow mortgage rates as mortgage experts are predicting that those numbers will continue to come down, and we can almost take into account that every recession, what leads us out of the recession is a decrease to interest rates fueling the housing economy. So we'll continue to follow the headlines in the news of what's happening with a declaration of a recession. But this one, again, as you can see that graph, we are not seeing major declines. There is a great chance that the median price of homes under contract will be greater than where it was last year, which is just another indicator of that home price rise or the home price appreciation. The median homes list price, as you can see, new listings were listing at $414,000. The median home price was $450,000. And again, as you can see, that kind of bubble last year in 2022, we have not seen that median price surpass that number of where we were this time last year, but we saw a heavy decline last year, and the indicators are showing that we're not going to see that happen this year. So again, over the next 2 months, we potentially could see the year-over-year home price, median home price be greater than where it was last year. And then this is a huge indicator of future predictions of home price appreciation. As you can see, the percentage of properties with a price reduction. We are already in the month of June below where we were in 2019, about to surpass where we were in 2018. And as you can see, that dramatic rise in that light bar graph of last year, nowhere near any indicator that home prices are about to accelerate in the amount of reductions or percentage of reductions. And that's also just because we have a lack of inventory with that big shadow demand that we discussed. And unfortunately for those people that wanted to be bearish is, again, the housing market and just following the news, not headlines, but just the major indicators of supply, demand, inventory, and stats like we share here on the weekly housing market update is it's continued to look bullish, healthy, which is a good thing for many people, just not those that are waiting. So as always, if you need more clarification, a 15-minute consultation or strategy session for your specific situation. As we know, all families don't make changes based on what's happening in the market. They just want to make sure they're not making a mistake in the market, but make decisions for what's best for their family. Click in the link above the 15-minute consultation. And if you're anywhere across the nation and you want me to connect you with top experts all across the world, I'm happy to do that as well. So from me to you, as always, keeping you current, as that's what matters most to help you make those decisions that matter most for your family and where you live. Justin Martin, talk to you next week.